Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to do a short talk about the lawyer's work and of course, the client's work and the impact of what has been until now the relationship between the two, which is an impossible mathematical equation where often clients want everything very fast at a very reasonable price, and then lawyers are struggling to deliver that fast and they need to merge. So it's an equation that is mathematically impossible, and we're going to try to solve it today and see if we can improve the life of a lawyer, make him, the lawyer or her, have better margin, and at the same time answer to the client's expectation, which is getting things faster and at more reasonable rate. And so here we go. So let me just, here it is. A minute, I'm going to try to actually go to, here it is. So sorry for that. So the world that has been actually developed so far, it's a very much like a human process world, right? Where everything is done manually, processes are done manually, and that has been developed for a world that doesn't exist anymore. Everything has to be more instant. Clients are going much faster, transactions are going much faster. Generations are changing. People are willing, everybody wants to be somehow an entrepreneur. There's more companies coming up, more startups. And of course, the time to reaction needs to also be faster. There's a lot of people that wants to do business, but they don't necessarily have always the financial means to pay for the proper legal advice. And that creates a big bottleneck in our industry as a lawyer. So I want to speak about my own experience, right? I'm 50 years old. I'm a lawyer by profession. I run a law firm that is medium size. I've set up my firm in 2008, and since 2008 until now, so almost I would say 20 something years, 26 years, I have actually been a bit less than 26 years, actually 20 years. I have been actually struggling a lot of time for different reasons. First, you need to be able to deliver at a good quality, at a reasonable price. Clients are always looking at your bills. And you need for that to surround yourself with good quality people, right? So good associates, good fee earners, non-fee earners, and the staff that goes with it, which at some point, if you want good quality people, they do cost a little bit in terms of HR cost. You need to have a proper office if you want to be able to onboard proper clients. Sometimes they're looking to that. And all of that makes that a good law firm nowadays that is well managed margin at 40%. And that means that if you succeed generating 1 million revenues, the partners of the law firm will share 400,000 and they have 600,000 of cost. And that's more or less an average. Some litigation, small firms can go up to 50%, but most of the very large firms are actually closer to like 35%, right? And that is a lot of cost to operate a business like a law firm business, which is not always repetitive work, right? It's different than an accounting firm where you know that a bookkeeping firm where you know that every year your clients will need to have their books done. So you know that your pipeline of clients are always there. So we all as lawyers sometimes have recurring clients, but often clients they don't necessarily have issues all the time, or they don't do transaction all the time. So for a non-repeating business, 40% is not exceptional, and it puts a lot of burden on lawyers. So we have a model where basically, if you are at an average rate of 400 Swiss francs and you charge 3 hours, a client will have to pay 1,000 to 200 Swiss francs. And that includes, it's an average rate which satisfies nobody. And it does not satisfy anybody because it's an average rate. Rather, you work on high level work or low value work or perceived as low value for the client. And I say, for instance, when you collect information, when you go back in your screen, when you adjust a contract or a legal document, when you basically have to do all these formatting and to make sure, or proofreading to make sure that it's consistent, it's a lot of work. And in reality, you have to charge that hourly rate because your costs behind you do not diminish whether or not the hour you spend on working is perceived as high value or low value by the client. Your rent is not adjustable, right? It's so you have to face all of these costs anyway. So it gives to what has been done so far a kind of an average hourly rate. And then you at some point you have high value work, right? So you have a call with your client, and then he asks you, he has a fraud or he has an issue, and in 1 hour call you solve his problem. And that's the same rate, and that it should actually there should be a difference between the rate of the two activities. And so what we're going to try to speak today is how can we actually reduce the time spent and higher the margin of lawyers. And that is something that I would have wished that would have existed when I started my own firm, because I have spent so much time missing family dinners, having to, clients calling me, and you need to go through a very long document, and you need to be attentive to everything because as much as you can cut your fees, you never really cut your liabilities, right? So you can try to adjust your fees, but the time you spend is always there, and your liability doesn't change if there is a mistake into the document. So that's what we're going to be doing. In my life as a lawyer, now for the time I've spent running a law firm, I have noticed two things. I have hired probably more than 100 lawyers so far that have come and go. The life expectancy of an associate is nowadays in law firms is like 3 years as an average. They come, you train them as much as you want, you have to instruct them, and you have to make sure that they gain experience. And when they have more experience, half of them, if not a bit more, then go and try another experience somewhere else, either as in another law firm or in-house. And then you have to actually restart your training. And that's quite burdensome for a lawyer, because every time then you have to spend time training, instructing, and of course reviewing to make sure that things works. And it's at the cost of a client. And then the second thing is also in my firm, in my experience, I have built a solid firm with good clients and good revenues, and then have appointed junior lawyer to senior lawyer to junior partners and to partners, and half of them have left. And not because we don't get along, we actually get along quite well. I have really good relationship with those people. It is just because of the work. And because what you study at the university to actually become good in legal issues and in solving legal issues is actually really much different to what you do in a law firm, where you actually do a lot of legal administrative work of drafting, of having to actually readjust certain things to make sure that documents are coordinated. And 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 a lot of people are not ready to actually sacrifice family time to do that. And especially when then at the end you get clients that tell you, but Dominic, that's copy paste. You have done that so many times. I should not be paying for this. And and I understand this, but again, right? So you don't cut your liability. So you need to make sure that every client's request is a different request. It's always tailor-made, it's never standardized. And so you have to actually go through that. And that's why people would want to pay a lawyer to make sure that everything is on the top, of what he's paying for. And so that's what this webinar is about, right? It's less low value work, more billable judgment, and how we achieve this. It's by a number of things. But first, I would love to give you some numbers. I don't know if you know that and those are statistics, they're worldwide statistics, that there's between 10 to 20% of people having legal needs that actually go and see lawyers. And they don't go and the 80% do not go and see lawyers. They usually do it yourself. Or they sometimes go and see lawyer, but the rest they do it themselves because of the reason I mentioned, because it's intimidating, the onboarding process. It's also time consuming. You need to explain your case to someone. You need then to wait until the work is done. And usually there's a pipeline of lawyers have to actually accumulate some clients to be able to feed everybody in the firm. So they have to wait on the line until their work will be done. And then it always end up expensive. The average cost worldwide of a medium-sized contract when you go see a lawyer is $6,900. So more or less like 6,000 Swiss francs. I would say in Geneva, that's probably the rate, right? You're between 4,000 to 5,000, depending on the firm and depending on who is doing the work, Swiss francs. That means 10 hours of work at more or less between 400 to 500 Swiss francs per hour. That between the moment your clients reached out to you until the moment you deliver the final product. Uh, If you accumulate all the hours, that's more or less what statistically you spend on. And what is interesting is that there is a demand for actually people coming and see lawyers a bit more, but we need to change the view on how things are being done so far, and we as a lawyer we need to agree that certain part of the work that we were charging at a hourly rate should become a commodity, and it should be actually completely reduced to a a very small fee because now, while the equation was mathematically impossible to resolve, it's technologically possible to resolve. And I will actually demonstrate that to you. I hope you're going to be convinced. But the legal demand exists. There will be a lot of possibilities to get more clients, to be able to handle more clients per day to the extent that you have the proper tools together. And so for what happens is usually the bigger clients who have anyway financial means they go see big law firms. So they're being paying. They don't care about paying more than the $6,900 per for a contract. The big case, the big M&As goes to big law firms. And then the medium size to small law firms rely very much on a partner's network. And the partner, how do you develop your network to get your clients? Either you're born into a channel of people, a network of people that actually will be your friends and will start sending you clients. You have, of course, judicial assistance. You have certain association, or you have what you do. Your reputation at some point you become really extremely good in one topic and known for that. But all of that comes at a very high marketing cost. You need to actually get out there. You need to make sure that people know you. So in addition to your 8, 9, 10 hours of work per day, then you need to actually also go market and give your business cards, do dinners and everything. And that's what it is. So here again, most of the lawyers are not necessarily social beasts. They are not necessarily they're really good at what they're doing into legal advice, but the channel by which they can be known is not always an easy one, and that's why they struggle. A lot of medium to small size law firm and lawyers actually struggle. They have certain clients. The clients are always a bit picky on the legal fees. They need to hire people to be able to help them to do the work. They have bills at the end of the month, and then of course they need to get money come in. So how are we going to be able to address this? And so, how does that traditionally work in a law firm? When you have a client request, and I'm going to keep on the contract working in on a transaction, for instance, a client gives you, for instance, a convertible loan to do. You need to meet the clients. You need to get all the information. Then you need to settle down, assess the case, and then you need to actually get an associate to do the work unless you want to do the work yourself. But most of the time, you're going to call your associate, you're going to instruct him. He will have to go back to his office. He will then come back with further questions. He will have to do some other works. And then probably a couple of days later, he will come and send you a first draft, will also be in the line of things that you have to do. And the clients only get an answer in a week time, right? And then there is so many hours that have been passed on that you have to charge, and you have to try to get them paid. And it's not always easy. Uh, I'm sure there is on that webinar a number of lawyers. How many times clients sometimes call you and they try to actually shave a number of your hours that you worked on, and then you're in front of a commercial decision. What do I do? Do I impose my bill? I will get paid, but he will never come back, or do I make an effort and then which even reduce your margin because you thought you're going to be able to charge at 400 per hours, but in reality, by cutting the hours, you're only at 350, and that's not the same game, right? So what get lost in the loop is the speed, your margin, client has to wait, and then your overall capacity. If you want to deliver faster, you need to work more, and it's annoying. So imagine, so we have imagined at Laine a neural network is a system where basically you can streamline the process, and instead of instructing a physical lawyer, you just instruct the machine the same way, and the machine just asks you the question the same way than a senior associate will do, and which makes you be able to get a revised draft or an initial draft in a fraction of a second at of high quality. And that is something that we have designed for lawyers. We have also designed that for clients. So it's an infrastructure between lawyers and clients. So law firm using Laine will have a client portal, and the clients will be able to do a lot of the legal work themselves, and only whenever they need, then reserve certain matters for the lawyers, because it's high value for them. They want to actually make sure that certain thing they want to do is enforceable, and the portal is drawing their attention on certain matter that they want to do, which might not be enforceable or which might not be legal. I will do a demo to you, and you will be able to assess the work. But so the idea is to be able to give up a lot of the manual work, keep lawyers and not replace lawyers, but for what they have been actually trained for initially, which is their expertise into legal strategies, enforceabilities, experience in business, and avoiding having to charge to a client something that anyway clients perceive as being low value for them, right? And so by using the newest technologies of the multi-agent and agentic technologies, the lawyers no longer waits for production work to travel through the office, and ultimately the clients do not wait as well. It's immediate. So you actually speak to the client. You, instead of instructing an associate, you instruct Laine straight, and you get immediately the result of your instruction by a new draft being issued within like 2 or 3 minutes. So and then where does it bring us? It brings us to working 10 times faster than before. Your clients are happy because it's immediate. Instead of in the traditional model, billing for 3 hours at 400, which is 1,200 for a client, you would spend probably 18 minutes. We will see, we'll do the test. And then, of course, 18 minutes, you're not going to charge a client 67 franc, but then you can still charge no longer for your time, but for your value. And that is maybe 400. And that, what does it mean? The client, instead of paying 1,200, will pay 400. You would actually marge much more, and you'll be able to actually onboard more clients because you'll be seen as being efficient, as being reasonable in your cost. And basically, if you want to calculate it per hour, it will make as if you charge 2,400 per hour in reality. And it's perceived as being somehow more reasonable in fees or cheaper than the existing model. And so that will allow also to get more people who have legal needs to come and see lawyers. So that's how we answer to that equation, which is, faster, more reasonable, and lawyers much better. Because the thing also that you can think about as a lawyer is that instead of having three or four associates, then you probably need only two, and and so you not only you enhance your margin with what you charge, but you also cut on your cost. And that's where and finally also you don't miss family dinners anymore. And so which is something that I wish I would not have done, because the number of fight that I had when you work a lot and then you go home and then you still have a fight to manage because people of course don't understand, would have been great if at that time would have existed. So that's how it is. And so for this, to make it even more efficient and to give to the end clients a better experience, you want to also give them a portal. That means that your law firm, if you use Laine as a client that needs legal work or as a lawyer, then both of them have a portal where both of them can speed the work. That means instead of coming and taking your car and seeing a lawyer and sitting in the conference room to explain your case, and spending that time and being charged for 400 Swiss francs per hour for that, why don't you just spend 10 minutes on the platform and already input all the information? And when you do that, having already a pre-assessment of your case, having the first draft that comes to you, and then just reserve the matter to the lawyers, the one that you want to speak. So about, imagine you want to do a loan agreement and it's a risky loan agreement, so you want to put like 17% interest rate. It might be unenforceable depending on the case, court decisions, Lane drives your attention to that. You may want to actually either change your input or discuss it with a lawyer, but just for that matter. And that's what lanes offer. I invite you to actually register on Lane and test it. You'll be able to test it for free for a while and have that great experience. So everything is in one actually environment where you can draft, where so you can draft fresh documents, where you can review documents as well. Lane will issue new features in 2 weeks' time where we'll be able to actually upload your own documents and get them reviewed with the Lane technology and adjusted. So a lot of lawyers, they want to actually keep their own templates. They don't necessarily want to have others' templates, or they want to start with them. They will be able to upload it and start with a review system and the editors. And I will do a demo to you. Get a new draft in a fraction of seconds, adjusted, party changed, context changed, and all the context is being taken care. We will also issue in the summer a negotiation tool where, when parties or lawyers to lawyers discuss with each other, it summarizes the understanding, and then when people have confirmed that this is the correct understanding, then it issues a new draft in a fraction of seconds, so that you don't have to wait for that. Execute, of course, signing, and then a portal is also important, where basically everybody has his own portal and can exchange documents hyper confidentially on the portal. Of course, a technology like Lane requires, especially for legal matters, to ensure that your data are completely protected. So and not only data protection, but the lawyer secrecies and the professional rules of lawyers, and everything has been thought and coded in such a manner that we are certified by so ISO and SOC 2 certified, and data are not being used to actually train a model. So they're not being stored and they're not being used to train a model. So everything is hyper safe. I invite you to actually go on our website. There's a full frequently asked question on the topic, which answers to all the question about data protections, right? And yes, so here we come to the end result, the equation, which is more speed, lower client cost, preserved quality, and higher margin for the lawyers, and family dinner. So, guys, if you would like to, I would actually start a demo, and then we will open for questions if there is any. So let me just stop sharing, and I will actually go on the Lane platform. So here you are on the Lane platform. Here you are actually on both portal client and lawyers are very similar, except that clients are more guided in terms of legalities and everything. But imagine you have some pending requests from clients that comes and there is so you can review them and you can quickly do your KYC and accept, do a quote. It's very standardized. That is of course only for lawyers, but for clients, if imagine they have and actually I will take something a bit more like a convertible loan agreement. They want to review a convertible loan agreement. That's how it's presented. We are not a plugin in Word, but we are a fully secured system where it goes into an editor. The reason why it's done like this, it's because AI is able to analyze much better the entire content of your agreement and adjust it for the context. So that means you will see when we will ask Laine to do some changes, it will not only change one clause, but it will adjust the entire contract to make sure that it's consistent. And that's the way it's done. So you have your table of content, you have your document, and you have the Laine dialogue. And so, for instance, for the Laine dialogue, I could ask, imagine you have received or you want to review that convertible loan agreement as a lawyer, as a client. You can maybe ask, is this agreement compliant with Swiss market practice, for instance? Uh, And then we'll see what Lane's tell us. So Lane will analyze that documents and see it's linked to all the legal source, of course. So you can do legal research in depth, ask question to Lane, and Lane is proactively also drawing your attention. And so it's analyzing the entire documents, and it will actually probably drive my attention to certain topic. Um, So it says it's legal framework, so it's aligned with Swiss legal practice. The interest rate of 8% is on the higher end for typical market rate. One of us, okay. And the agreement does not include a conversion discount on valuation cap. Okay, so it tells me that my contract, of course, it was done by us, so we follow practice is compliant. But imagine now. That I can say, okay, what is the limit on acceptable interest rate to avoid usury rate? For instance, could ask Laine, and Laine will analyze this. In the meantime, it's a standardized convertible loan. So it's a loan agreement that with a lender and a borrower where you can convert so here a conversion mechanism. So that it says, okay, well, which is like the 8% rate for the convertible loan agreement, which is a non-consumer loan, falls within the generally accepted legal rate. And it says like between 15 to 18% becomes problematic, right? So imagine that I would say then I want to adjust my contract for two things. We're going to see that, and then we're going to start seeing how much time we need to do the work. So now it's 1 o'clock, so we will see. So the interest rate here, I would say, so increase the rate by 3%. So then I add this. I would also add another topic is like maybe what we can do is we can since it's a convertible loan, what we can possibly do is also in terms of conversion says that in case of change of control, for instance, of the company, then the loan can be repaid or converted. So here I will actually add it here. So in case of change of control of the company, the loan, so okay, the lender shall have the right to either seek repayment or convert the loan and interest at the conversion rate. And so I had this. And then I will ask Laine to redraft my contract. So he tells me, okay, I have two topics, increase the rate by 3% and then the change of control. And so as a good associate, basically Laine will ask you a question, right? Says, okay, well, we need it's nice your instruction, but it's not precise enough for me to make a good work. So um, he says, okay, well, let's start with the rate. So I certainly help you here. So first, regarding interest rate, the current interest rate in the contract is 8%. Are you looking to increase it to 11% per annum? Okay, so yes, that's what we said. So 11%. Um, Second, the ordinary repayment in case the change of control. The contract does not currently define change of control. How would you like to define it? For example, would it be when a certain percentage of ownership changes hand? Okay, we say change of control means 51% uh, sell of the issued share capital in one or, oh, sorry, to one or more buyer. And then if the lender chooses to convert the loan and interest, which conversion rate should apply? The contract currently has a fixed conversion price at 10 francs, Swiss francs per share. In a qualifying funding round, price 80% of the price per share at the qualifying funding round. So there was one. So we can here say price per share shall be CHF 10. So now he asked some questions. So he's looking into the legality of it, if there is any legal issue. If there is none, then he will actually ask me to confirm the understanding. So, and here, that was basically a request from a client. So the quote we issue of course it's a fake exercise, right? So it's not a real client, but 1 hour. Imagine you're a top-notch lawyer, 750 for 1 hour just to do all these changes. For you to as a client, you have the summary of the contract, and so it tells me here legal analysis: the proposed interest rate of in-person payment for the insurance is likely legally compliant. So this is 11% is likely legally compliant, as Swiss does not specific maximum. So it does that. The introduction of a change of control clause granting the lender the option to immediate repayment of conversion at fixed price at 10 per shares is also legally permissible. So we all good. So we approve it. And he will then take a bit of time to redraft my contract and make a markup. So I will have to actually wait for that. It's actually taking into account all the context and it's analyzing all the clauses. So, and this process actually is basically, so here we go. So let me close the Laine dialog. So it has actually, here you have the clean version of it, and here you have a markup based. It just shows you the section which would have been affected. So the definition section, change of control, the conversion date, and change of control conversion price. Um, it has inserted a full conversion change of control clause. So in this case, in the event of a change of control, the lender shall have the right at his sole discretion to either demand immediate repayment of the outstanding drawdown loan or convert. So the purpose of change of control means that in one or series of conversion, you sell 51%, as we said. Then there's a change of control notice, so typical 10 business days, and then answer within 30 business days. And then you will have actually the change of control price shall be 10, and the number of conversion shares shall be determined by dividing the aggregate amounts of the drawdown loan and the accrued and unpaid interest as a date of the change of control. So it includes the interest rate. And it has basically amended your contract, which is then here in a clean version. So this is clause 4.4. So you will see it's in 4.4 here. And so if you're happy with this, either you can continue amending it, or you can just save your document, and then you can maybe download it as a Word document. So we're gonna get there. Here it is. So let me open the Word documents and reshare one more time my screen. And so now you have a full, so you have your change of control clause that is included in here. And of course, all the definitions are there. Well made, with a proper formatting. And see, we still need to actually put bank details that is still there. And actually the clause of the change of control has been inserted here, also perfectly formatted in 2 seconds. And then you opt to go to the signature page, which is here. And it's basically ready for the lender to be signed. So, and we spend literally 9 minutes and 30 seconds to actually do those changes. In reality, if I would actually have to do that manually, I would have spent a good hour, if not more, to actually get the info, instruct my associate. He needs to go there, refresh himself with the contract, see where to include that clause, draft it, send it back to me, and for me to review. Actually, we'd have spent more than an hour on that. And so that is now ready for you to actually sign or resend to your client. And that's how you actually win a lot of time by cutting the time of the unnecessary work, manual work that we used to do, either as a lawyer or as a client or a legal in-house person, and be able to have good quality documents. And basically, we spend 9 minutes, so we're not going to charge 50 francs for that. But if you charge for 9 minutes for something like that, probably 300, the client will still see a lot of value, and you have margin so much more. And that's basically what we wanted to actually tell you today, is that new technologies are here. We have actually spent 2 years and a half to develop Laine. Laine is now available in Switzerland. We've launched 10 days ago. You can register on Laine.ai, and you will get some free credits to start with. it's a pay per use, so it's not a pay per seat. So you just buy credits and you actually use credits when you need Lane. So it's not that it becomes a monthly subscription that you have to pay in any case. Unless you start using Lane a lot and you want to have more credit, and then so you have a plan. You may have a plan. The more credit you buy, the cheaper they become. But a contract like that of that difficulties on Lane will cost you probably 70 Swiss francs only to actually do. If you had to do it from scratch until that level, which is actually much more affordable than if you would have to actually go through the normal route or the route that was available until now. And so as a lawyer, it's basically has been calculated to be 5% of your cost of goods sold. So that means that instead of having a number of associates to do the work that costs you 60% of your OpEx, of your operating expenses, then a platform like Lane will cost you five. And that's where actually you can make your clients happy, and then you can marge at probably 80%. And the clients are basically able to do a lot of the work themselves, especially the work that they would not assign to a lawyers. Small things where there is recurring work, you can also buy credits and also do a lot of the work that you would like to do yourself. So I really invite you to actually go online, visit, and see what you think. We'll love to have your feedback on this. The planning is that now we have the drafting module, which is the most complex to code. We're going to come to the third-party document review and analysis with playbooks in 2 to 3 weeks' time. I need to see with the coding time, but it's going to be out in the month of May. And that will allow you to actually come with documents that you have received and contract that you have received to be able to analyze them, to be able to rework them, or to take them as a base for your own practice. So Lane has been done and has been coded in such a way that you don't need to have any IT integration. That means you don't need to pay IT people to come and install it, and you pay installation fee. It's done in such a way that actually you just register and start using it. And after the third-party review documents, we will have additional features that will come over the summer, which is um, taking minutes of the meeting, being able to actually do corporate documents, board resolution, shareholders resolution, all sorts of resolution, negotiate to be able to take minutes of a negotiation meeting and then reassign those points to a new draft. And of course, voice recognition. You'll be able to speak to Lane rather than to write to Lane. And all of that will evolve as we speak. So that's basically what we've done so far. So we'll stop sharing, and I'll be open to any question if anybody has some. Okay. So wonderful. Thank you so much for your attention. And then we will see each other for other webinar that we will organize in the future.